So now that you've written some code, you're probably wondering, well, how do I run it? After all, that's the most exciting part, is having our app actually run, right? Well, we're going to go over compiling and debugging kind of at the same time. So when you're in Android Studio, you'll notice that up here there are two buttons, a play button and a bug button. Well, we want to press the bug button for most of the time. That's going to run our code in debug mode. Now, underneath the hood, all of our code is going to be transformed into bytecode, and it's actually going to create some files that are going to be put on the Android Studio device that we select. So if you notice when I press this, we're going to then see a status message down here by Gradle. Gradle is the actual toolchain that's putting everything together for us. When it completes, we get this little Choose Device dialog box. You can either choose a running device, or you can actually just launch the emulator. I happen to be running Genymotion, which is a very, very fast emulator, so I'm going to go ahead and select that and click OK. Okay, you're already noticing that everything is changing in terms of where things are laid out. This is a new screen, right? This is the log. The log itself is going to be connected to whatever our device is, and then reading data all the time about what's happening. So this is fine if we want to run something and then see some log output. We can also use this little guy here to actually help maneuver the log. For instance, maybe I want to see more data. These log levels go from verbose all the way to assert. And it's basically ordered in a less, more information kind of level. If you want to, you can actually type something in here, and I like to type in the name of my project package to help try to filter things. So now that I've typed com.delta, I'm not seeing everything, I'm just seeing things that actually come from com.delta.controlflow. You can even set up more permanent filters in here through a filter configuration to look for particular types of messages. I'm not going to get into that right now, but feel free to play around with it. Now, this is great if we just want to get some messages from our device, but what if we really want to see how the code works? Well, I'm going to give you a superpower right now, and that's the ability to slow down time. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this control flow class that I have. And I know theoretically that this method is going to get called, and then somewhere around line 21, it's going to actually run this code. Well, you see on the device, it's all scrambled up in just a machine language. But with the debugger, what you can do is you can actually click here and put what's called a breakpoint on that line. What's going to happen is your code on the device is going to run to this point, and then it's going to stop and pause and give you a lot of data about what's going on. So let's check that out. Again, I'm going to press the debug button. Again, you see that Gradle is doing its thing. Notice again, I have a breakpoint here on line 21. I'm going to click OK. And suddenly, we have a line that's highlighted. And rather than seeing the logcat as our default tab, we now have the debugger tab. And we also have some other things here. We have this variable list. Well, what is all this stuff? Well, for one, we can actually inspect all the different variables that are currently going on. So here we have alphabet, which was the car array from up here. The sentence to test, if we open that up, you can actually see the array and all the different values. And so this is a way to see what you currently have on the stack in terms of what variables are equal to what. It's really awesome. The other thing you can do, and these are the buttons to pay attention to, are you can actually step line by line through the code. So rather than just pausing time, we now actually have control over the execution time and can see how data moves around and what gets executed. So if I press this button, watch the cursor on line 21. See? It jumped to line 25 because there wasn't anything to execute between 22 and 24. If I keep stepping through the code, you can actually watch as things get executed line by line by line. Well, this is fine except for there's a problem on line 29. It's definitely looping through. However, there's some other code that's getting executed. There's two ways we could actually see that code as well. We could either come down here and put a breakpoint and then press play, and sure enough it'll jump into that method. Or and I'll jump out of here so we can see that happen again. Put a breakpoint here. Okay. Or, when we're actually on the line that has a method call in it, we can use this button right next to it, the step into button. Again, we have the step over button, and then we have the step into button, as well as the ability to resume and then stop debugging altogether. So if I now do this, you'll see, bam, we jump right into that method and can follow along with the logic. So this debugging process is something that I highly recommend you just play around with for a while. It's incredibly fun to see how the data all actually moves around and what gets executed, but it's also one of the most powerful tools a developer has to solve problems. So go ahead, have some fun.